How about 2 free college football winners in one video? Seems like a pretty good deal to me, right? Stay tuned for 2 of the best situational spots on Saturday's college football board. What's going on, everybody? Bryan Power here for Picks and Parlays. After you're done getting your 2 free winners here, be sure to check out my preview of Bears-Vikings, as I've got you covered Sunday in the NFL as well. As for college, we are rolling to start November. A red-hot 82% winning run to start the month. I've gone 9-2 with all premium plays. Clients up a whopping 23.3 units of profit during that run. The Weekend Warrior Pass is available on my page. I think you've all become familiar with this right now. Very popular option to get on board for the weekend. It's just an absolute steal. It's a real must-have here, as for just $49, you get my entire college football card for Saturday, my entire NFL card for Sunday, and as a free bonus, when you purchase the Weekend Warrior Pass, we'll throw in any Monday Night Football bet I make free of charge. Head on over again to my page to take advantage of that. All right, speaking of free, let's get to a couple college winners for Saturday, shall we? That's why you clicked on the video. A reminder to smash that like button when you do agree with me, or comment down below with any additional thoughts you'd like to add. I always appreciate your feedback. I'm going to be starting out by talking about Air Force at Uconn. Noon Eastern on the CBS Sports Network. Uconn is currently a 7.5-point favorite for this game, guys. The total sitting at 63.5. Let us start the handicap by talking about what these teams did last week. Here at home, Uconn upset Duke 37-34 as a 7.5-point home underdog. The Huskies were definitely the sharp side in that matchup, and it was a deserved cover for anyone that did bet them. Although, I will point out, the Huskies probably don't pull the outright upset without a +3 turnover differential. They needed a late fumble recovery by to hold on for that 3-point victory. Duke just couldn't hold on to the football in that game, and that is the main reason why Uconn pulled the outright upset. Nevertheless, Uconn is now bowl eligible for a second consecutive season under head coach Jim Mora Jr. Last week also happened to be the biggest crowd to witness a football game in stores since 2013. Over 36,000 people were on hand to see Uconn upset Duke. So I've got really no choice but to view this week's matchup against Air Force as a potential flat spot for the Huskies. Plus, they go from getting 7.5 here at home to laying 7.5 at home. Now, Uconn has actually not lost a single game in regulation this season. You may be unaware of that. They are one of only 5 teams in the country that can claim that. The others are, of course, Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, all of which undefeated. Louisville also has not lost in regulation. Both of the Cardinals' losses have come in overtime. Let's get back to Uconn, though. That's the task at hand, BP. All 3 of their losses have been in games. Uconn, I'm talking about here. All 3 losses have been in games that went to overtime. Their QB, Joe Fagnano, has a 25-0 touchdown to interception ratio. That's 25 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. What a season Fagnano's having. But do we really want to trust Uconn laying more than a touchdown to a service academy? I think not. I get Air Force has been a big disappointment this season. They come in at 3-6 straight up on the year, and we're certainly fortunate to win 26-16 at San Jose State last week, weren't they? The Falcons were outgained in that contest, 435-302. But just like Uconn, the Falcons benefit from a +3 turnover margin. That being said, Air Force, they have not lost a game by more than 3 points since September. The Falcons have covered each of the last 3 times that they've been an underdog of 6.5 or more points. I just see this being a close game. Points won't necessarily be at a premium. Total is 63.5 after all. But this Air Force offense could trade points with the best of them. There's been only one game this entire season where they didn't reach at least 24, and that one game was against rival Army, where, of course, you have 2 service academies facing each other. There's not many possessions in those games, and that was certainly the case when Air Force played Army a few weeks ago. Uconn's defense does lead the country in sacks. I understand this, but the last time they faced an option offense, they allowed over 300 yards rushing and lost outright as a 10-point favorite to Rice. So free play number 1 is Air Force plus 7.5. Smash that like button if you agree. Comment down below if you don't, and tell me why you don't agree that Air Force would be the play to make here. Let's now move to our next game, which involves a top 10 team, and it is number 6 Texas Tech hosting UCF, 3:30 Eastern on Fox. The Red Raiders off yet another impressive victory. It was a game against another top 10 team. In fact, although you wouldn't have known that it was a top 10 matchup, just going by the point spread. Texas Tech went off as 13.5-point favorites against undefeated BYU last Saturday. Sure enough, the market was hip to how that game was going to turn out. It was an easy 29-7 win and cover for the Red Raiders. Texas Tech is now not only 9-1 straight up this season, but also 9-1 against the spread. That is the best ATS record in the entire country, gang. For my money, this is the best team in the Big 12, and they should be headed towards a college football playoff appearance. But that being said, I think this week seems like the proverbial letdown spot in Lubbock, laying a big number to a UCF team that has a top 30 defense in both points and yards allowed. Red Raiders quarterback Baron Morton, he's clearly not 100% right now. His backup, Will Hammond, is also banged up. So I think this is a situation where head coach Joey McGuire is simply looking to get out of Dodge. Let's get a victory, not necessarily by big margin, and get into the bye next week. Yes, Texas Tech has a bye next week before their regular season finale at WVU. I believe this is the 6th or maybe even 7th consecutive week Texas Tech is playing. So with the quarterback injuries, again, I don't think winning by margin is the goal for McGuire and this coaching staff. As for UCF, they had their bye a couple weeks ago, and they do need to win either here or at BYU in order to get bowl eligible. I'm going to give them a 5th win next week at home versus Oklahoma State. Now, Scott Frost's team, again, my opinion, not going to win this game, okay? I do not think UCF pulls the upset. However, I do think they cover the spread with room to spare. UCF plus 23.5 is your second free play for today. That number down from an opener of 24. So UCF has taken money. I'm not the only one who thinks this is a potential flat spot for Texas Tech. And it's also very interesting that Circa, widely considered to be one of the sharper sports books around, well, they're already down to 22.5 on this game. So UCF's taken money there. Again, those numbers all current as of this recording on Friday afternoon. So just to rehash, we like UCF and Air Force plus the points Saturday afternoon. Both of those underdogs find themselves in ideal situational spots in my view. Again, remember to smash that like button if you feel the same way. Comment down below if you have anything else you'd like to add or a question. Love when it gets interactive here on the YouTube channel. So I hope you will now head on over to my page at Picks and Parlays. Again, on a red-hot 82% run to start November in college football. 9-2 with premium releases. Clients are up a whopping 23.3 units of profit during that run, like I said earlier, and the Weekend Warrior Pass is, of course, your easiest way to get on board. You get all of my college football for Saturday, all of my NFL for Sunday, just $49 for all of it. And then as an added bonus, if I make a bet on Monday Night Football, we'll throw it in free of charge to you. So there you have it. That is now going to do it for me. Hope you learned something about these two games here. Do me a favor, click subscribe, and stay tuned for this next video.